All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be touching on this Sunday 4-2 slate that we have. It's a fun slate. We got a lot of slate impacting injury news. We got a lot of ownership leverage spots as well, both on FanDuel and DraftKings. Going to touch on that in this video. If you guys enjoy the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. So first and foremost, if we look at the injury report, there are a ton of injuries that we see on this slate, all right? And the model is pulling in a bunch of projected value on both the DraftKings and on FanDuel today. And the interesting thing is a lot of them aren't pulling in a lot of high ownership. I do want to start out with the first couple of games here. We got the Washington Wizards, and I think this is definitely an interesting ownership spot. We can see Jordan Goodwin is pulling in 34% projected ownership, and we can also see Johnny Davis is only pulling in 4% projected ownership. We look at the Washington situation today. We know they're going to be without Porzingis, Bradley Beal, Morris, and Kyle Kuzma. Their three best players are going to be out, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I get why Jordan Goodwin is pulling in some ownership, but we only have him projected to get 24 minutes, where Johnny Davis is projected to get 28. That's 4 more minutes, and he's also cheaper. If you look at Johnny Davis's game log, we can see the shot attempts have been getting up there. Maybe not shooting the best. And so we are banking on him having a good night shooting. 3 for 9, 1 for 5, 5 for 8, 3 for 9. Last game against Orlando, and that's kind of key. 4 for 15. If he makes a couple more baskets, he is definitely returning a great value at 3.7. 10 3-point attempts, 1 for 5. Like, he's kind of due to have a good game shooting the basketball, especially if he's going to continue to get that run, especially if they're going to give him that long leash, which it seems like they're going to. And so to me, it just kind of makes sense to go in on Johnny Davis at significantly less ownership. Like, Jordan Goodwin's minutes have been really sporadic here. And sure, if he does get a lot of minutes, he should go off. But I would say it's like not a guarantee. And to me, this number seems way too high. I do like DeLon Wright at 5.9. Okay, he's coming in extreme chalk. That's going to be the worry. And on FanDuel, it kind of just makes sense, just given the price tag. Probably going to have to eat that chalk. But at the same time, it wouldn't be shocking to see him, I guess, not deliver GPP winning upside. Okay, the usage rate's high. Like, he should be able to go off. Averages 4.2 more fantasy points per 36, which isn't huge, but he is still at a soft price tag. And so you kind of expect him to have a good game. But I think the reason why he's pulling in this ownership is given the fact that against Orlando, he just went for 41 DraftKings points. Like, if this game was coming in off of the Boston and Toronto game, I don't think we'd be getting that much ownership. So I'm not saying it's a guarantee for him to go off. And this would just be one of those things, maybe before lineup lock, we confirm in the Discord chat. Link to that's in the description below. I will say Daniel Gafford's ownership is extremely strange on DraftKings. We can see he's the same price on FanDuel and DraftKings, okay? But he's only coming in at 4% projected own on DraftKings. To me, that's just really crazy, okay? He's one of the better values on the slate. We can kind of just see that by looking at the DK value and FanDuel value ranks, okay? Look at his per 36 production with Kyle Kuzma, with Bradley Beal, and with Porzingis off the court. Averages 17.3 points, 11.7 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, 1.6 assists, and 40 fantasy points per 36 with those three players off the court. And what I find interesting is that this is a difficult matchup. And on FanDuel, where we only get one center, he's pulling in a lot of ownership. To me, that kind of just seems like a fade. Let's try to find someone else to play on FanDuel. It's a little bit different on DraftKings, where we can be unique and, play two centers, possibly 3-4 tonight, just given the fact that we got Evan Mobley and whatnot, potentially with Jared Allen out. The upside's there for Gafford. Like, it wouldn't be shocking to see him go for 40. If the minutes are there, if he's getting around 30 minutes, would not be shocking at all, especially if Julius Randle is still out. And that's what's interesting about the Knicks, is that, like, Julius Randle is out, but they're all kind of priced up enough to the point where none of them are players we need to go out of our way to play. Now, it wouldn't be shocking to see Jalen Brunson have a really good game today against Washington, and he is coming in with not too much ownership. I would say like 17% on FanDuel does feel a little bit too high, but at an 8.4 on DraftKings, to only be pulling in 26% projected ownership, that seems a little bit too low to me. And I will say Josh Hart, kind of just a shoulder shrug play, has guard and forward eligibility. If he's going to be in around 30 minutes, we have seen him be productive in that same kind of role. Can he return like 35 fantasy points today? I think so, but it's definitely not a guarantee. Obviously, the matchup is kind of what we'd be chasing there. And then another team and game in which is kind of projected to be a blowout, 13-point difference there. Obviously, we don't like that. Higher scoring game at 231.5. I mean, it's not like an extremely high scoring game where we want to target it, but at the same time, I do think there is some appeal here, especially because a lot of the players are coming in much lower owned than I would have expected. Now, Benedict Mathurin is pulling in some ownership on FanDuel, 13% projected ownership, as he should be. Okay, I would say 1% for him on DraftKings, way too low. Jordan Nwora, 0% projected own on DraftKings. What is going on there? Andrew Nembhard, 1% projected on there, way too low. They're all projected to get around 30 minutes. And Miles Turner is kind of the biggest difference maker. I get that. Like, if Miles Turner plays, then we have to think about it a little bit. But even still, it would seem like one of these players are too low. We look at the game log from Mathurin, 35, 40, 1 and 38 minutes the last 3 games. Okay, didn't really do much in the last game, only 20 DraftKings points. Went off in the previous 2 games. that's kind of what we expect. Like we expect a little bit of unpredictability with the Pacers, and that's kind of why I would like some ownership to one of these players because one of them are going to have a good game and they're going to come in extremely low owned, lower owned than they should be. Like Andrew Nembhard has went off, relatively speaking, more of a safe play it feels like. And Mora is nice because we get small forward, power forward eligibility. The minutes have been there for him. 3 straight games of over 30 minutes. We have seen him give upside. Okay, look at the shot attempts, guys. 17, 11, 14, and 14 shot attempts. Hasn't really shot the 3 ball all too well. I mean, 50% the last 2 games, but that was in the heavy amount. The upside's there from one of these players. It's just trying to figure out which one it's going to be. And I will say, in this game, we also need to monitor not only Miles Turner being active, but also Jared Allen. If Jared Allen sits, Evan Mobley becomes an extremely interesting play. 4 straight games of over 40 minutes. And if we look at his ownership, 2% projected own on DraftKings. Look at this, 59, 41, 62. Now, I know he's coming in off of a bad game against New York. I mean, he played pretty well, okay? Just didn't have the points, didn't have too many rebounds, but played pretty well. Like 3 blocks still, I mean, that's crazy. Wouldn't be shocking to see him get a double-double, especially if Miles Turner's out. I don't get the ownership there. 2% seems way too low. And he's power forward and center eligible. You can make that work. Maybe it's because the game's projected to be a blowout. I don't really know. Or maybe people just don't want too much action on this game just yet because all the news that we have gotten throughout the day has been more or less the earlier games. I don't really know. It just seems way too low for ownership there. And it seems like a great leverage spot. Now let's just take a peek at the best projected values on the slate. Kind of dive down to a little bit more. We got Tim Hardaway Jr. popping up there. That's all right. But the thing with it is like the ownership's kind of spread out between the top values. We can see Tim Hardaway 30%, Josh 18%, John Collins 8%. We can see their price points are relatively the same as well. Austin Reeves, same thing. The thing that we're seeing on FanDuel is that we don't have anyone egregiously mispriced, like that we need to go on that's like min price that everyone's rostering, which is interesting. Looking at DraftKings as well, kind of the same thing. We got Clint Capella coming in as one of the top values on tonight's slate on DraftKings, coming in at 5% projected own. Okay, projected at 27 minutes. That's what's interesting about this slate is that we have a lot of decent value, especially on DraftKings side of it, where they're coming in much lower owned than you would expect. Mitchell Robinson as well. Russell. Heck, AD, if LeBron is out, with that being a later-ish game, I guess on Sunday, it's not too late. That could be a great spot as well. His ownership might not be able to get up that high simply because the information doesn't come out until after lineup block. If LeBron sits, then AD becomes very interesting there as well. And then just looking at the top plays on the slate, let's see. We got Luka coming in. He's not too high priced. Jokic as well. And then we can see Anthony Davis coming in as one of the better price point plays. Do we have any players that are really sticking out given their price tag? We really don't, actually. That's a little bit shocking. I mean, maybe a little bit of De'Aaron Fox going against the Spurs. I would agree with that. Great matchup tonight against the Spurs. He should be able to go off. And then maybe DeJounte Murray, maybe Darius Garland, maybe D'Angelo Russell. But we can see for the most part, we are getting pretty accurate, strong prices. Like it's kind of the slate that we have for now. It seems like they price it correctly. And then once again, just looking at the ownerships here, we can see, the chalk is pretty much spread out on DraftKings, which is great. We go to FanDuel, much more tight. We can see DeLon Wright's pulling in a ton of ownership. We got Hayes pulling in some ownership, Hardaway Jr., Gafford. And it's just interesting there. I'm probably not playing him on FanDuel. Let's go ahead and give you guys a first look build here. So we did see some players really popping up as like really strong price point plays on that Washington team. I kind of do want to eat the chalk on DeLon Wright for now. If that changes, throughout the night, we still have about 4 hours before lineup lock. Stuff can change. Just be in the Discord chat before lock. I'm going to be choosing to fade Goodwin at that high projected ownership. If that comes down a little bit, then we can adjust. But for now, Giant Davis seems like the easy leverage spot there. We're kind of just banking on him getting more minutes and actually having a good night shooting. It's risk reward based there. Obviously, right now it seemed like Jordan Goodwin is the better play on paper. We're just trying to get lucky here. We're trying to make an educated decision here, gain some leverage on the field. And then in that game, I still like Gafford as well. Just a 6K for a guy that can potentially give us 40 DraftKings points is going to be huge. Now, does that game stay close? Maybe not, and that's going to be the worry. Jalen Brunson, though, with Julius Randle out to me is definitely appealing. The shot attempts are going to be there. I mean, 32 in the last game. The minutes most likely going to be there unless it's a blowout. If it's a blowout, he's going to be the reason why. If we are playing 3 Washington Wizards, we need to run it back with someone. Once again, this could change throughout the day. This is just kind of how I see the slate breaking down right now. And then I just think Mathurin's ownership on DraftKings is currently just way too low. 1% projected own. We saw him have 2 really good games. Okay. And I just wouldn't be shocked to see him do that as well. And so we got the exposure to Mathurin because I also like Evan Mobley. I'm not intentionally trying to do game stacks here, but logically speaking, if we are chasing that Washington value, I want to run it back. If I'm playing a low-owned Benedict Mathurin, then I don't mind the idea of playing also a low-owned Evan Mobley. And especially because we have some chalk on the top end, it does make sense for me to get some lower-owned high upside plays like Mathurin, like Mobley. Okay, Mobley could easily go for 50 if Jared Allen's out. Now, if he is active, changes the whole slate, I would say. And Miles Turner's active, changes this play a little bit as well. But for now, seems way too low. And then John Collins is definitely interesting, I would say. I wouldn't say he's like a lock and load play by any means, but he has been someone that has been, pretty productive. It wouldn't be shocking to see him have a good game. Capella was coming in as one of the better kind of price point plays. I don't mind it as like a leverage spot as well. Pretty cheap for a play that, we just saw go for 50, 43 DraftKings points. If he gives us 30, like that's not going to hurt too much. If you guys have been watching my videos at all on this channel, I've been in on Zach Collins a decent amount. And the price point still seems too low, 7K. Now, I know the game's projected to be a blowout, but he has still gone his 30 minutes or so. Okay. And if Keldon Johnson is out again with Jeremy Sochan out, it seems like the usage is going to be there for Zach Collins. He went 0 for 4 from 3. He has been making at least one basically every game, and he still managed to get almost 40 fantasy points. That's just appealing to me. So I'd rather play him at 7K than like Clint Capella at 5.9. He is coming in at pretty low ownership as well. Gets a little bit more on FanDuel because he's power forward and center eligible. I would say, we could probably be overweight on that as well, just given the fact that we can play him at power forward as well. Pretty appealing slate in terms of being able to, get multiple centers in both FanDuel and DraftKings. We can probably get 4 each, maybe 3 on FanDuel, 4 on DraftKings, which is kind of what I have going now. I could potentially play another forward. Maybe we try to get lucky with Obi. I don't love it. Like, we need the minutes to be there. They haven't been there. He's been playing well. Game could be a blowout. Will that lead to more minutes for him? It's really tough to say. The minutes just haven't been there for him. And so what I'm going to do here is we have 4.2 left over. Let's go to the model and sort by that salary. Then we're going to go by DraftKings position, power forward, and small forward. Take Zach Collins off. See who the best play is value-wise. Dante DiVincenzo, Obi as well. Sort by the OF index. We can basically see this is kind of a dead zone here, and we're not getting that many good plays. It'd probably be one of these two that we're choosing from. And I guess because we already have exposure to that New York game, we probably would just go with Obi. But that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that coverage. Let's have a good slate today. Be in the Discord chat before lock. Also, if you guys want access to that model that I was showing you guys, as well as the NBA DFS lineup optimizer, as well as all other tools available as well, check out the link in the description below. All right, let's have a good slate. And as always, good luck.